What is up? Welcome, YouTube, to whoever I was able to send the link to as I went live with zero numbers. Good
Everybody will be
morning.
here in like 2 minutes.
Yeah. So let's not give away all the answers to the test, but morning, sir. How's your week 8, nearly halfway through the season going?
Good morning. I am very excited for the slate. I'm less excited now with the DK Metcalf and Lockett stuff, but we'll get into that. But I think it's an exciting slate. I mean, you get 4K value and 5K value at QB. Well, we'll talk about that too. But Easy, how was your vacation? Welcome back, sir.
It's good, man. Being 6 hours ahead made following sports not optimal. Missed like all the night games. I was like, but got some college football in. Yeah, I'm back. Great time, but happy to be back for NFL as well. I'm a sick person, so had a lot of FOMO as I was gone. Missed a couple of slates, but ready to attack this one. This is a fun one because you got a lot of consensus options that may or may not be good. We'll kind of figure it out. The everyone seems to be doing the same thing, so those are always really fun slates. Both A for cash, because like prove to me that you know what you're doing, and then B for GPP, like how do you flip the build? How do you build smart lineups not the same exact way as everyone else?
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, so I guess we'll start with quarterback. Speaking of consensus, so I guess one thing that kind of changed is now Tannehill is out, so we get Malik Willis. But Sam Ellinger at the absolute stone minimum 4K is going to, I think, be a lock in cash. And I'm very thankful that Malik Willis opened up because now it makes GPP a little more interesting. So I think like QB is super wide open because obviously Josh Allen is not on the slate, Mahomes not on the slate. So you have like Jalen Hurts is your top guy, raw points, and then there's not really a whole lot else. Like if you're sorting by points, like playing Ellinger versus, you're only giving up so many points to basically Jalen Hurts, and like you're not really super scared of anyone else beating you. So that makes things super interesting, in my opinion, kind of obvious to like you can play Ellinger, but it's an open QB slate. What do you got?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think it's completely open, and I'm glad the Malik thing opened, mainly because I think that like it just opens a lot more people to pay the rake for us. Like I don't know why Davis is talking about Malik is greater than Ellinger, and like that $1,000 is super meaningful. Like there was many weeks where Justin Fields was 5,000, 5,200, and he has way more passing and rushing upside than a guy in his first start as a complete rookie, or like Taylor Heineke. Like there's guys with rushing upside in that 5,000 ish range that it just makes no sense to me to get to Malik. So I am happy for the people that are going to make that mistake.
I don't think it's that Dangy wouldn't give me the keys. I forgot to DM him, and then I'm deciding to see if I can stick to a platform, and then we can actually grow something under the easy Nori name. But we won't. We can throw Dangy under the bus. It depends on how the stream goes. But anyway, thanks for whoever found our either way to YouTube. But yeah, Malik. As a prospect is super interesting for DFS because I think like as a runner, and we've talked about this with Justin Fields. Justin Fields is not a natural runner, or rather, he's only a runner via like instinct. He's not a natural like he's not a Lamar Jackson or like
Right.
who's super comfortable running. He's a runner because he's a great athlete. Malik
Right. Right.
Willis, I think, is a great athlete and a great runner. So he's going to be, I think, like almost without a doubt, he's going to be bad quarterback. I don't know what the scoring expectation is going to be for Tennessee.
Right.
Then
Right.
again, same for Indy. But I think like Willis's rushing is definitely better than what Ellinger does, and probably better than what Fields gets you. But the passing is like, I think, like literal zero floor.
Right.
So yeah, like I like Willis, but like not in this game, right? Against Houston.
Yeah.
If they were playing Atlanta, if they were playing Seattle, like yeah, give me it. But to your point,
Yeah.
like Justin Fields at 5'2", like is no worse and probably better than Malik Willis.
Right. Right. I mean, it's a huge difference between your first NFL game and getting into your 16th, 17th start. They're both still young. They both still make crazy mistakes, but that's a lot of experience.
Yeah. So I think like if you're building in cash and like I think a lot of GPP like bros are going to actually play Ellinger, and then you're gonna build like a chalk stack around it and like kind of play it skinny. So I'm curious, like we can talk about it as we get into the game if you're stacking Ellinger, if you're playing him naked, whatever. But I think that they're like Ellinger's the easy click. It lets you pay up to Tyreek, it lets you pay up to your running backs. The basically when you just have to decide if you're playing Hurts or not, I think. Because like everyone else is just so much cheaper and you can kind of do what you want. And just hope that quarterback doesn't win you or lose you the week.
Right.
Compared to like Josh
No.
Allen from Slate.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I would much rather do fun stuff with Ellinger or kind of crazy stuff with no owned Hurts than I would trying to figure out the Tua thing. Like
Yeah.
Tua, I really don't like Tua.
If
Well, I
Tua,
like him, but I don't like him for GPP and leverage and building those lineups.
yeah, if Tua is actually 16%, like I'm probably going to have 0. And like I definitely want access to the game, but that's like everyone, right? Like
Right.
as like you talk to everyone, it's like, well, I need to have access to that game with the highest total. It's like terrible defense.
Yeah.
Just reran this, but yeah. So that's quarterback. We'll talk about more with the stacks. Running back, we've got like a half dozen, maybe a little more of these really good 6-7K guys that
Mhm.
As like the NFL is going more to timeshares, like having those like RB1 with no RB2 on their team guys, like Pollard.
Right.
Pollard is a fill in this week, but Pollard, Jacobs, Kamara, I think is probably the chalk, and then Kenneth Walker. Like those are the 4. But then you have like Damian Pierce, Raheem Mostert, Ramondre, Derrick Henry are all going to be in that second tier of chalk. GM, go Bears, GM. There's like, so I think like running back versus receiver. Like there's a lot of running back in flex. Like Cash is running back in flex. I think a lot of GPP is running back in flex. There's a lot of really good options in that 6K plus range. How are you looking at running back?
Yeah, I think it's a really exciting week at running back, especially if you're someone like me who's biased and sees Tony Pollard and sees ownership and sees like, yeah, I'll just play the Bears defense, dude. Like, let's make it simple. Like, there is a world where Tony Pollard. Now I get it. In cash, you have to play Tony Pollard. You
100%
just
have
have
to.
to do it. 100% you have to do it. It's probably why I'm not going to play cash on a good cash week. But for GPPs, it's the easiest flip in the world to just play the Bears defense. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's at worst, it's a coin flip between Tony Pollard has a good game or, like, I don't know. But then
Yeah,
the other guys, Deontay Foreman, with Chuba being out and that's such a bad Atlanta game, like that's interesting to me. Ramondre Stevenson, what do you have for ownership? Because I have him much
15.
lower.
Oh, 20.
Yeah, what I have is lower. I have like more like 10. I
Yeah,
wonder just
he'll
like
come.
last week, the Bears kind of, pumped the Patriots and Ramondre still smashed, So
Yeah.
I wonder if he's going to be underowned because people are scared of that Jets defense. And then, I think one of the biggest X factors of this slate is like, who is DeAndre Swift? Like, is he a guy who can get 12 carries and be omega efficient like he has all season? Or is he still banged up? Or can he carry a full load? Is Detroit real? Like, that's going to answer the slate, I think, is like what goes on with DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting way to obviously get access to that game, and you're getting leverage on Amon-Ra, who I think is going to be like the accidental chalk that like everyone's like, oh, I love Amon-Ra at 12, and then he comes in at 22. Yeah, so I love Swift. He's not on the injury report, but then again, like
Right.
we were kind of ranting off screen about injury reporting in the NFL and
Yeah.
all sports now, and like if coaches are trying to get any edge they can, and like they're playing games like. So DeAndre Swift may not have an injury designation, but it doesn't mean he won't be on a pitch count, if that makes sense.
Or
But
is
I'm
he
willing
just
to
a
play.
50-50? Or is it just a 50-50 timeshare? Because before he got injured, it kind of
I was gonna
was.
say, yeah, like Swift
So
pieces, like even when he was playing, let me get this, even when he was playing like week 1 he had 15 carries, and that's probably like on the higher end. And his
Right.
targets, like I feel like Swift at 6,800 in this game, if you get 12, let's say call it 12 carries and 5, 6 targets, like that's more than enough to get you there.
Right.
Like you don't need a full Swift, um,
For sure.
but and like it's uncomfortable. Like he was flag planted, so he might get that like that steam, but he's not going to be more than 10 or so percent. So I really like the Swift call, and he's a little bit more expensive than the guy like Pierce, Walker, Pollard. Like every lineup is going to have at least one, if not two of those. Jacobs and Kamara, like obviously are great.
Yeah.
What about these 8K guys? Saquon, CMC, Henry, and JT are all in like somewhat decent spots, and like they could all be 9+K on if they had good games. Like if they had Josh Jacobs week, they would all be 9K, but they're not.
Right.
And they're all lower owned because and like you can afford it. It's just people are paying up for Tyreek instead of the running back. So
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's probably the most fun part of this slate is like it's with Ellinger it's very easy, and with others it's kind of easy to get a couple of these 8K plus guys in.
yeah,
And I'm here for that. Like I like that a lot because everybody is going to pay for a receiver. You keep mentioning Tyreek. There's one more that I think is going to get steamed, and
yeah,
we'll talk about that in a minute.
yeah,
But yeah, I love these expensive receivers or running backs,
yeah,
especially CMC.
yeah. I like the 8K plus running back is kind of an anchor in all of my lineups. Is there anyone off the board like Dante Foreman? It says 15%. I don't think people are clicking it. It's probably going to be closer to 10. I think Swift. I wouldn't call Swift off the board and JT off the board and CMC. Like there'll be single digits or like up to 10. Anyone down
I
here like Eno might open up if Darrell Williams is out. I think he's
yeah
in, so like he might get a little bit more work. Anyone else down here like off the board?
yeah I'm not sure. I tried to just I do think Deontay Foreman's going to get steamed, and so I tried to get cute and like play Algier in a couple lineups, but I don't think I like that. I'm probably not doing that.
Yeah.
But I want to like it. I want to think that maybe they can both just beat each other up and he could fall into the end zone twice, which I still
Yeah.
think is in the range of outcomes. But yeah, I wanted to like Michael Carter, but I'm not seeing that happening.
Yeah, me neither.
Eno is just a matter of I'm playing the Arizona Minnesota game very differently. So Eno is not going to be a part of that, regardless of mentor, whatever you guys call him.
Yeah. Any Najee, 5,700. He's the cheapest
No,
you're gonna get.
early in the week, I tried. I wanted to. I like Najee. But the
Najee at
problem
5,700.
is Kenny is a baller,
Yeah,
right? Kenny's like a young gunslinger, and
yeah,
he doesn't want to dump the ball to Najee. If Mitch was in, I would play Najee at
yeah, yeah,
5,700 because Mitch will dump it off.
yeah. Receiver, you've got Tyreek up at the top is getting a lot of ownership, and obviously and for good reason. He's got a good projection. DJ Moore at pretty much the same price he was last week, where he was like 3%, is now 25%. Obviously, he projects really well because everyone woke up and was like, "Oh shit, he's going to have that 30+% target share." Then there's a lot of like it's a similar price range because it's Ellinger. You can afford 6K guys everywhere else. Like so, Olave is getting owned. Like Amon-Ra, Waddle are going to get some ownership. DeAndre and Justin Jefferson in that game obviously is going to be a pretty popular way to have that game stack. So I think the top end. Oh, is Noah Brown out? I don't know that. I'm hoping Gallup up a little bit.
Last night he was shaky. I don't know if he's
Yeah,
out.
so Noah Brown out. Maybe Gallup is in a little bit, not in chalk, but yeah, I think the chalk build is in that like 6K plus range. DJ Moore. I have a pretty strong take on DJ Moore, but I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, for me, this is just a super duper overreaction on DJ Moore. Like, that's a very cheap price.
It
But
is.
when you start to stick that kind of ownership there, you then have to ask yourself, like, okay, PJ Walker is his quarterback. I know he played well last week, but the NFL is not just a week where last week is what happens this week. Like, it's literally 1 week seasons.
Yeah.
And this is a division game. Atlanta does stink, as does Carolina, but they're both going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball so much. There's going to be less plays. And, could DJ Moore smash this slate? And is he a decent play? Sure. But to me, I just see the flip side, like
Yeah.
easy fade, like 25% plus, easy fade.
Yeah. To me, obviously, like he makes a lot of things work, and like you're gonna want to play him in cash. But DJ Moore is the guy that I'm like least like. Tyreek Hill like scares me that he's gonna drop 35 and you just like are dead to win without him. DJ Moore having the game you need, if that happens, then like fine, I'm on to next week. I think he's DJ Moore. If you want 15 points for 5K or whatever it is, 16 points, 18 points, like
Right.
I don't see like if he gets 22, that I think is like an insane outcome, and I'm kind of okay just fading that because I think
Right.
his chance to get like 8 to 12 is better than his chance to get 22. That like if you need a DJ Moore, I'm just not going to win. I don't think you need DJ Moore. So he's the kind of guy that doesn't scare me at all to fade because like his touchdown equity is like next to nothing. He's gonna have to just be a total volume hog.
Yeah, I agree completely.
But the thing that's interesting with receiver, if you're not doing the Ellinger stuff, you have to try and go like playing whack-a-mole with these guys like Wandale at 4,700 is probably like I wouldn't even call it comfy, but people are clicking it. But below that, it gets shaky very quick. Like Garrett Wilson, I think, is going to pop with who's out? Is it Corey Davis is out?
Yeah.
So Garrett Wilson pops. I don't know about Callaway, but like Van Jefferson in his first game potentially back. Chris Moore. So like if you're not playing Ellinger, you're like almost probably going to get funneled onto one of these like 3 to 4K guys.
Yeah. And, it does get pretty ugly, especially, I talked a little bit in the opening. Like, I thought we were going to be able to get cute with Cram's boy, D. Eskridge, but now that Lockett and Metcalf are both going to play, that's kind of out. Goodwin's priced up a little bit at 4,400, so that was never really super interesting to me. But yeah, we lost a value guy there. Van Jefferson is interesting because, like, I forget who was talking about, if it was Dink or whoever it was, but like if you think about just how the Rams offense is working and what's going wrong for them and stuff and what Van Jefferson is,
yeah, it doesn't
like he may not be able to get the ball down the field. But I will say this, if you plug Van Jefferson into a lineup with a non-Ellinger quarterback, it really helps you build, a good lineup. So I'm going to have a little bit of Van Jefferson, just expecting to we speculated earlier, like, wouldn't it be cool if DraftKings allowed you to not play all your players? Like just take an L. I think Van Jefferson lineups are literally like, I'm just taking an L on this spot because I think I can outscore you. And I think that's interesting.
He's got a path. Like he has a path. Like it may just have to be that 1 or 2 broken plays that gets him there. And you're just kind of fading. You're just fading the consensus build with that. The reason why you kind of need Van Jefferson is, and by the way, I don't know if you're a pronunciation guy. Like everyone pronounces it Noah Fant. I'm gonna call him Noah Fant. And like just be okay if that's wrong.
I say Fant.
He sounds like Fant to me, but
everyone says Jasicki, and that's definitely wrong. So I don't
know. No, that's correct.
They don't say that on TV.
But yeah, now with DK and Lockett both suiting up, it looks like Noah Fant is going to be a decently bad play with like a fairly full like Seattle receiving combination. But so now tight end went from like play Fant and move on, and now it's like tough to get the super cheap guys. And now it's like Dalton Schultz and Freiermuth I think are pretty decent. I think George Kittle is a smash, and you just hope ownership doesn't catch all the way up, but it probably will.
Yeah, or you play Kylan Granson, you know what I mean? Like, why not? I mean, if he's seen his wiener in high school and now he's seen his wiener in the NFL, that has to be an advantage.
Okay? Mo Alley like done? Like he's still playing. I would love the thing with Indy, in the Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz days, and we'll see if it's Ellinger. Like you don't watch the game because like why would you watch the Colts? Then you go to the box score and they have 21 points. You're like, holy shit, I smashed. And you go and they have 30 pass attempts. Oh my god, I smashed. 10 guys with 3 targets. Like what the hell?
Right.
They're always playing 3 tight ends. They're always playing 5 receivers, and they're always playing 3 backs, and they're getting each of them 2-3 balls. if yeah. So like maybe like are you still leaning on the punt tight end as your favorite way to build?
I'm basically putting my tight end in my stacks somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm going to end up with a lot of Irv Smith. We'll talk about that when we get to stacks, but I
Yeah.
like Irv Smith quite a bit. I'm going to have a decent amount of Fryermuth. I'm going to have a little bit of Kittle, but we'll talk about that as well. And I'm still going to play Fant because for me, the thesis hasn't changed. Even with DK and Tyler Lockett, like his role has been increasing and he's not fallen into the end zone. And eventually he's going to do that. And for $2,800, with these tight ends, you got literally, especially Kittle this year. I know he's been good lately, but you know, these tight ends are closer to zero floor than ever before without Andrews or Kelsey or anyone on the slate. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I agree. I agree. Um,
Hawkinson is interesting just because of the ownership. Like nobody's going to play him seemingly,
yeah,
but that's a hefty price for a Hawkinson.
it's
So
49. Is it 49?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I think tight end, like I'm trying to do it with stacks if I can. If not, probably Kittle.
yeah.
Like Fairmouth, obviously. Okay, so starting off first game, Bears are at Dallas, 42.5 total is actually pretty decent for this slate. Strangely enough, that's the fifth highest, which is crazy. It says a lot about the slate and why chalk is condensing into certain spots. But Pollard is obviously going to be huge chalk. CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz might get a little bit, and the Bears are going to get like nothing. So I think that this is a really interesting game. Dallas is supposed to score 26, and someone is probably going to get there. But what do you like?
I'm not going to play too much in this game. I do have the Bears defense everywhere just because no point in talking about that, but I do think there's some interesting ways to play Pollard if you wanted to play Pollard, like doing either Fields naked with Pollard on the other side. I mean, a couple people are going to do it. It's going to be unowned, but it's not going to be owned. Fields and Mooney just, we get it. Like he doesn't get a lot of we get the problems with the Bears offense, but he's 4,800 and Fields is likely going to have to throw a lot. So there is a world where a Fields Mooney Pollard is the way to go. And then you can also flip the build and like, why can't you play Dak with CD and Schultz or Dak with CD and Gallup or Dak with Pollard? And, there's some stuff you could do. I don't really like it. I'm not getting too much there, but I do think there's some value in doing that.
Yeah, I think like I actually really like the Fields Mooney Pollard. Pollard is a super interesting one where like early in the week I really want a bunch of Pollard. Now I think it depends on your tournaments. Playing the Millie, he's going to be in that 30 to maybe up to 40%. If you're playing the power sweep or like even something smaller than that, like the spy, I think he'll be over 40%. If you're playing like a 200 person high dollar entry, which I don't know what our audience is, but whatever, he could be like 60, 70%. And he's a really good play, but that might just be one where I say, okay, like I can't do it at that price and just like hope.
Yeah.
Because like at 6,100, you don't pay off your tag unless you score. So then you just are betting, against that. So maybe you like bump Schultz in lineups that you're not playing Pollard and you hope like Schultz and Dak have that thing going. CD Lamb, kind of outspoken about CD Lamb. I don't know that he
22 points in the last 2 years is his max.
Yeah, he hasn't gotten 100 yards in like 20 games. We have a Madison versus Ingram. I think he meant Mark Ingram. Like Mark Ingram projected for like 5.5 points. Like I was actually like, I don't even know.
Who does he play for?
Yeah, I don't know about like I don't think you can play Madison. I guess Madison is projected better. So like I would go Madison. Yeah, I guess it's Madison, but I'm sorry for you. Bye week hell and season long is not where you want to be.
Yikes.
Probably you might just be hoping to suck out on an injury there. But yeah, like I guess that Cowboys defense is like one way also, like that's super expensive. That the build, the chalk build is like that 2,600 defense. So Cowboys defense, obviously you said your Bears at 2,400, but I wouldn't go like crazy overstacking this game, even though Dallas has a 26 total. Like I have no interest in Dak.
Right. Yeah, I think if you want to take a little flyer in your 20 max or your 150, like that's cool. But I wouldn't get too crazy here.
Yep. Um, then the second game, Vegas at the Saints in the Dome, 49.5 total, number two on the slate. Both teams, projected for 25, 24 points, puts them near the top of the slate. We have a lot of like, I would call second tier chalk here. Not the chalkiest guys at any position, but like the next tier. So Josh Jacobs, obviously, 20+% own, at an all-time high price at 7,500. I don't know if people are going to click it, as much as they were clicking for 6,500. Kamara and Olave both also going to be in that 15-20% range. Like they're all good plays. It's a good game environment, and they're not super steep. So I think you can play guys from this game like as much as you want. What do
Yeah,
you got?
this is an interesting game because like I didn't even. I mean, I guess I knew, but I didn't really put together that this is the second highest scoring game on the slate. And like, I see the ownerships, but when I watch all the shows all week long and whatnot, like
Mhm.
nobody's stacking this game. Nobody's talking about this game. Like, I
Yeah,
have to believe these ownerships are going to be on the high end, and they're going to come in lower. Just because generally the market consensus and the way people talk kind of changes how things look, and so I do think, yeah, I mean, why not play Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, Kamara?
yeah, you
Why
can.
not play Andy Dalton, Olave into Devontae or Jacobs? Or, I think you're going to have some good leverage there, and I don't think those stacks are going to be owned at all. The
Yeah.
player's ownership is going to come from one-off stuff and you know things like that.
Yeah. Joan Johnson, actually, now that like no Fanta's now there, or not like is less in play, like Joan Johnson at 3,200 is like probably like perfectly fine in play if you're doing game stack. Um, Waller back, like keep an eye if Waller's out. Foster Moreau, I think, is going to be like too under owned because were not thinking about him, prior to today. I like
For sure.
Carr, is fine. He's probably not likely to bury you, so I would double stack it. And I don't know who like the second stack is. Um, this I'm stealing from Babs, or at like I was ending up here too. Like if you want
Yeah.
to play Kamara and Olave, I think you can. Like it's just pretend it's like that Seattle Detroit spot. And playing something like this with like Ellinger, and then you get this game stack. I think a lot of people are doing this with the Miami Detroit, which we'll get to. But this is a really good way, to do a similar thing. What are your thoughts on like an Ellinger with this game stack?
Yeah, well, I think this Ellinger thing that you're doing here, JM did it with Miami, and Dink talks about it. I think you can do this with any game, but
Yeah, yeah,
like any game where you expect a couple of players to be able to smash their tags. And I do think it's interesting. It's the reason that the slate is so fun is because you can
yeah,
be like, well, what if I did this stack but with Ellinger?
yeah, exactly.
you know,
Yes, I think it's a
you
good
can
game. I don't think the ownership's going to get super high, like because Josh Jacobs is uncomfortably priced. Are you playing Jacobs?
in like one or two lineups. I think.
Yeah, I'm.
I'm still building, but yeah, I don't
It's
I
hard for
don't
me
like
to.
that price tag.
It's hard for me to click Jacobs. I'm much more comfy clicking Adams, even though he's more expensive and lesser projected. And my brain is broken. Like I should
Right.
probably like think about that. Um,
Yeah, see, I mean, my thing with once you get to guys 7,500 plus, like could Josh Jacobs go out there and have 100 yards and a touchdown? Absolutely. Like
yeah,
there's no doubt about it. Are you winning a 500,000 person tournament with that? No.
right, right.
You know what I mean? So, at that price, I want to look for better spots where I see bigger ceilings. And of
Yeah,
course, his ceiling's there. I mean, he is smash this year. But I'd rather do that from a different price point or a different player.
yep. Um, Falcons at Atlanta. I don't know if Cardi's got his dome boner out for this one at 41.5 total. Neither
I
team projecting super well. DJ Moore obviously is pretty big chalk on a slate that doesn't have a bunch of receiver value. Dante Foreman might get some ownership. I would probably take the under on 15%. No one on Atlanta is going to get owned, and rightfully so, because the play volume, pass volume is just not there. God bless you if you have the Snowns to play anyone there.
Yeah. To steal the term from our overlord Peter Overzet, Cardi's dumb boner is tucked purely squarely into his sweatpants this week on this
Yeah,
game. That's not happening. Yeah, I disagree with you on Dante Foreman. I think that he's a candidate to be that late guy that like creeps up, especially in smaller, in your single entry and this kind of stuff where people are trying to get different, trying to do different things. I think
Mhm.
Dante Foreman can. But anyway, yeah, and the Blitz agrees with the DJ Moore ownership and projection. DJ Moore and Drake London are two of the top four projected per dollar receivers in the Blitz. FYI,
Mhm.
I'm going to be playing very, 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 very little of this and zero Kyle Pitts for you Kyle Pitts lovers.
Yeah. Kyle Pitts for me is, I don't know. You're gonna get like, close your ears. Kyle Pitts for me is like Derrick Henry in that I'll play him when he's 5% and just like hope he runs pure. Um, but yeah, so like if he's gonna be 9-10%, I'm just gonna be out um on Kyle Pitts. And but like somehow Atlanta's projected to score 23 points. So like maybe Algier gets there. I don't know. Like I'm just kind of, I think I'm ignoring this game except for Foreman. Of course, DJ
Yeah,
Moore. Like I can't overstate it. DJ Moore is legitimately the best value on this slate at any position besides Ellinger. Um, I'm so like I don't know if I'm IKB like pretending I know better than the projections, but it's like if DJ Moore is a good value, I'll just say okay, great. Like I'm gonna try and get there with better upside plays.
yeah, yeah. You nailed it in the opening. Just DJ Moore. It's really hard to see DJ Moore with PJ Walker throwing balls to him, hitting a ceiling that helps you beat 500,000
Yeah,
opponents.
I
So
believe
I
right
just don't
now
play it.
Waller and the Sun God are both expected to play. I would be shocked if Amonra doesn't play. That's going to change the slate a lot.
Yeah,
We'll get to that game in a second. And Waller, I think, expected to play. If he doesn't play Morrow, I think is going to be really good. He's 3.1K. This is an interesting one. Steelers at the Eagles, 42 and a half total. So similar to that first game that we saw, which like on a normal week is pretty low, but on this week it's up there in that second tier. Eagles obviously have not been pushed in the second half at all this year. I saw a stat, Jalen Hurts. What is he averaging? I think he's averaging like 3 fantasy points per game in the second half, like this season. Yeah, I believe he's at like 22 points per game in the first half and 3 points per game in the second half. So I'm still waiting for the team that's going to push him in the second half. I don't think the Steelers are going to be it. But you're getting a big ownership discount just because it's the complete opposite way that everyone's building.
yeah, um, yeah. It's really it kind of it's just like in other sports like in basketball and stuff like that where like a blowout is on the table and players not playing 4 quarters, and it really sucks from that perspective because obviously it's a good matchup and we like Hurts. I think everybody likes AJ Brown, and AJ Brown hasn't really crushed a slate yet,
Oh, no,
and I think that everyone agrees that at some point in time he's going to do that. Like it's just a matter of when is that going to happen? Unless you're that one or two Discord guys we have that believes Jalen Hurts can't throw the football, but you know,
right.
could this be the week with no ownership that it is a Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown,
Oh yeah,
Fryermuth bring back? I tell you what, I'm going to find out because I
yeah,
have that lineup.
yeah.
But yeah, I agree with everyone's takes about this game. It's a tricky spot. Najee Harris at 5,700 with no ownership. I mean,
Yeah.
6 weeks ago, could you have imagined that? Or last year, could you have imagined that?
If
I'm
you
sure
like,
some people here could have, but
yeah, I think everyone probably could have. If you like Najee Harris at 5,700 against the Eagles, you're gonna love him next week at 5,200 against whoever they're playing. This is a game where if you're just looking at projected ownership, everyone is single digits, and like everyone is actually a pretty decent play. Like no one's an amazing play, but everyone's like a pretty good play. Yeah, so
yeah.
I love the Hurts Brown, and the Steelers. They aren't going to put up a bunch of points, but they're gonna. I think they'll have like some play volume as long as the Eagles aren't able to successfully take the air out of the ball. So Pickens, I think, is very in play. Deontay, I still think is in play. Fryermuth, obviously. Um,
That is part of the problem, though. I think the Eagles can take the air out of the ball.
They
I think
can.
they might be able to do 4 drives in this game that are 8 minutes plus. And
Yeah.
like what is that? 32 minutes? Like that's just not leaving a lot of targets for old Claypool and Deontay and stuff. That's the concern.
Are you double stacking Hurts or single?
Single. I absolutely won't double stack him this week.
I think the thing with Hurts is for him to win, be the reason you win, you need 35 plus out of him. But I
Yeah.
guess your probably best path to that is him rushing one in.
103.
Yeah. But
100 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns.
yeah. So let's build this out. Oh, another thing. On your non-Ellinger teams, I think the Commanders' defense is going to be pretty chalky. But on your non-Ellinger teams, I think it makes sense to probably even play them into the chalk and just hope for like Ellinger is just like pure trash.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
you
you're
can
a Bear
build
fan, you see that that's a mistake.
yeah, but you can build like something like this in like 5.5K per player. Like then you have to find, one or two guys that are below, three, like in that 3 to 4K range. But you throw like Van Jefferson as an example, or Chris Moore or whatever at 6K
Yeah.
per. Now you can start to fit in, like you can afford Pollard, Mostert, a lot, like whatever, like those kind of guys. And I think it's a really good way. You're not sacrificing a lot of projected points, and it's a totally different way to build than
Yeah, I saw I think both JM and Dink talk about this is so gross to build and stuff. So I went to build it and I said to myself, this is not that gross. This is majorly awesome if Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown smash, because the
yeah,
answer to the test is Chris Moore and maybe Van
yeah,
Jefferson.
yeah.
And like
I'm
you said, once you do that and once you go with a cheap defense, like in my case, the Bears, the whole world opens up to you to play all the plays. Yeah, not CMC. I get it. Probably not Tyreek Hill. I get it, but there's a lot of other players on the slate. There's a lot of good value.
Waller's out like at 4,500. I don't think I'm playing Mac, but TD is playing Mac.
Yeah, I'm not playing Mac.
The 2v2 that is actually interesting. It's like Hurts and Chris. Pick your favorite 3-4K guy.
Yeah.
Versus Ellinger and Tyreek Hill, right? So now you're saying like Hurts is going to outscore Tyreek Hill, and like I'm going to get lucky, with my receiver versus Ellinger. That's like that's your 2v2. So like when you frame it that way,
that is a hilarious comparison.
It's like it's really hard to be like, yeah, Chris Moore is going to outscore Sam Ellinger, but you hope that Jalen Hurts beats Tyreek by 10 points, which can happen. So like that's the 2v2 in price.
Yeah.
Oh, if you're in season long, I would play Mac Hollins over the running backs that you mentioned earlier. No word on the Sun God yet, but I would expect him to be in. And we'll know, in an hour and a half. Speaking of the Sun God, number one total on the slate, Miami's at Detroit, 51.5 total in the dome, ownership everywhere, good projected plays everywhere. A lot of guys, like it's not super condensed. It's condensed like 3 guys per team, which is both good and bad, I think, as it relates to both ownership and projections. But a lot of guys in play, and I think there's a couple of decent, leverage spots here.
Yeah, especially if you watch all the shows, like everybody is imagining this game is the Detroit Seattle game. Like literally everybody is locked on to that exact game script breaking out. And for that reason, I'm mostly off of it. I'm playing the running backs. I'm playing Mostert. I'm playing Swift just because I think it's easy to get leverage and make good lineups. I do have a little bit of Waddle, but I'm not getting to, a 25+% too much. I'm on Ross St. Brown. I'm just, I'm the fish when it comes to that. Like last week, he's supposed to be full go, not on the injury report. We know what happened. And that is going to probably check his ownership a little bit. But again, the wave of shows and talk makes it sound like it's not. I tell you who I am going to play is Josh Reynolds. Like, he had a bad late week last week, but he's wide receiver 2 in this 52-point game. And oh my God, it's going to go nuclear. Like, why can't he play Josh Reynolds at 5K? I threw up in my mouth just saying that out loud, but
yeah,
I can get exposure to the game that way with nobody else,
Yeah, I don't know if Trey's still here. He's our Lions wide receiver 2 whisperer. He was playing DJ Chark like every week. I don't know that
Oh,
I
I
can go
was
there.
too.
I don't know that I can go there, but that's the thing with this game, right? Like, I think Tyreek obviously is a really good play. But at 8,500, like, what does he need to have for you to, like, if
Right.
Tyreek has 25 and you faded him, you are still extremely live to win. If Tyreek has 35 or 40, you're probably dead, right? So if you're just fading, that game, then great.
Yeah,
I
like what's 5 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown? That's what, 13, 18, 23 points.
yeah, yeah. Oh, that's, I mean,
Did
that's
you
what he's
beat
projected.
500,000 people? No.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. That's what he's projected to have. I'm off with Tua on this ownership, and like at 6,200, I don't think you're getting like, but I think like this, I started building it here. I think this is like the consensus. Like, I don't know if I'm going to call it fake sharp because that, like, I don't want to be too insulting, like, but this is like where my mind went. And then I saw like JM did it, and like Dink is kind of alluding to it. I don't
Yeah.
think that like Leone is going to build this way, but this is like the really easy way to be like, I'm going to say that this game shoots out because it will. And I get to play Ellinger. So like, I think like this is a really popular way. And, everyone
Yeah.
knows the game stack, and like you're only clicking Amonra basically as your comfortable click. So I think Amonra comes in, like, he's projected for 15. I would say he's going to be 20 plus,
Yeah.
depending on like how sharp your field is. I really like Waddle over Tyreek in that, just like, price savings and cheaper ownership, fine. Like Mostert, but DeAndre Swift, I think for me is the way that I'm like getting access to this game that other people aren't.
Yeah. The other thing about this game, so, you have everybody thinking about Miami and how many points they've been able to put up in fantasy. You're thinking about that Seattle Detroit game and Sun God, and you're basically, it's got the high total. And the other X factor is like we're living in a season where supposedly the chalk smashes every single week. I know that's not true, but recency bias, that's been the case. So that's going to add on even more. And then you add the shows all talking about it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, there is a world where the Lions had their off week. They slowed Dallas like 9 points last week. Dallas is not Miami, but maybe
Mhm.
they've made a few improvements, and maybe this game is just a 27-23, kind of a thing where just the ball is spread around and stuff. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
At that ownership, I stick with the process, trust the process, and like
Yeah.
just can't play
It,
too much of it.
Yeah, the decision for me is I'm going to be lower on Tyreek and probably Monroe because I think they're just going to get steamed to a level that is uncomfortable. Do I want to like force someone else? Like, in every lineup, should you have like someone from this game, whether it's Mostert, Waddle, or tight end?
Not for me.
TD, we can help you with tight end. Please don't play a Texans tight end. Yeah, I think this is a great game for a tight end. Neither projects like super well, but yeah, Jasicki, 3,800 is like an uncomfortable price. No one's going to click it. It's access to the game. Hawkinson again, like no one's going to click it, and it's access to the game. So I think that you can definitely do, tight end from this game for sure.
Or you could play Trent Sherfield. Hello?
No, there's not a showdown slate, is there?
No.
No, you're not playing Trent Sherfield. And this is probably the last like super exciting game. Another tight end option here. Arizona's at Minnesota, 49 total, also in the dome. DeAndre Hopkins might get some steam. Justin Jefferson might get some steam. Irv is probably going to be higher owned now with DK Metcalf back in. I'm actually explaining that to someone who doesn't play daily fantasy. DK Metcalf went from out to in, so therefore Irv Smith is going to go from 8 to 20% owned.
Right. Not only did he go from out from in, he went from torn ACL to non-torn ACL and playing the next week.
Yeah. So I think like this is the least exciting of the three like dome boner games. But you're getting ownership discounts there. So what are your thoughts?
Or is it? Or is it Ori's game of the week? This is my favorite game of the week. I'm going to have so much Kyler, Nuke, Justin Jefferson lineups. And sometimes Irv Smith's going to be involved. Sometimes Robbie Anderson's going to be involved. Dude, the Vikings secondary is so bad. And
Trash.
you saw immediately in one game, and I know that he's a veteran and he doesn't need all that practice, but it is still just nice to see because he hasn't played in, a year, more than a year, but he instantly makes
Oh
that
yeah,
offense work. Whereas for 6 weeks, the offense straight up did not work. Like it did not work at all. And then suddenly the offense just flat out works. And then you've already got Cliff. He's already galaxy braining in press conferences, talking about what he could do now with
Mhm.
Nuke back in the lineup and now with Robbie on the outside as opposed to
Yeah.
Dusty S, AJ Green. And you add that stuff up with Minnesota secondary being brutal and with Minnesota just as a team being a complete pretender at 5-1, 5-1.
Yeah.
Um, I just don't see a world, and now Kyler's running too, so I just don't see a world where that stack doesn't smash. I'm just gonna pay all that money out, and I'm gonna expect to win.
Yeah, I mean the rush attempts are definitely up. I mean he went, against Seattle one 10 for 100. Um, yeah, so I like it too. Versus ownership. Obviously, like projected points, it's not at the top, but
Yeah,
I really like Kyler. I'm gonna be the over on Kyler and Hirsch. I'm like, hope that these guys get you 35 and Ellinger only gets you 15. Love DeAndre. Justin Jefferson is going to be hard to pay up for, but I think people are going to get there. So I kind of like Thielen. Um,
yeah. I have
no
feeling
one's
I have everything in the passing game stacked in this
yeah,
game.
yeah. I think Robbie's actually super interesting too. At 4K, just because that does a lot for you on this slate. Like we've said, if you're not playing Ellinger, you need that random cheap guy. Like why can't it be Robbie? He only
Right.
needs one play to get there. Um, Keep an eye out. Obviously, the mentor, if he's out, like is going to go from like a 12 to a 15 point projection or something like that. Let's say, so that makes him more palatable. So I think like this is a really good game environment to stack up. Irv, I don't think he's going to be 12. I think he's going to be like 15 to 20. How much does that matter? Like that difference? I don't know, but
Yeah, because nobody is going to game stack this. I don't care about the individual ownerships.
yeah, that makes sense.
The combinatorial ownership is not going to be a problem in this game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Are we going to get to my favorite game of the week now?
I
My
hope so.
second favorite. Second favorite.
I
I
hope
just
it's not
said
this.
my favorite.
I hope it's not this.
No. Oh, good
This is
God.
this is a catch me up game. New England at the Jets, 40 total. Ramondre's in play. I don't know. I'm not playing any passing game. Garrett Wilson at 4,200 is going to get some ownership because he makes some things work. Braxton Berrios is in play. That's probably about it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm not playing Ramondre, but I do think that his ownership will be lower than that 20%. And I do think that if you can stomach that play, that it's a good leverage play. I'm not playing Garrett or Elijah, but I think if you can stomach that, those are good leverage plays. But I am playing Braxton Berrios
Yeah, Brax
because
makes some things
he's
work.
3,700 and the Jets just love him. I don't know what
Oh yeah,
the deal is. They scheme him the ball. Like every week I see
They-
him doing an
here's
end
the thing.
around or a little screen or something. And at 3,700, it makes things work for me.
Are they scheming him the ball, or is he earning, or is he somehow earning targets? I don't know.
No, what I mean is they literally will hand him the ball.
Oh yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
like they want him to touch the football.
yeah.
So if
That's
they
weird.
want him to touch the football and DraftKings wants to price him at 3,700, then on a week like this where I am going to play some Jalen Hurts or I am going to play that very expensive stack I just mentioned
Yeah,
in the previous game, it's going to land me on some Braxton
yeah,
Berrios.
yeah. I think it's a gross game. Like Ramondre is just like a price pivot off of those, in my opinion, better running backs. And yeah, Wilson and Barrios are in play. Two things. One, TD telling us that
Yeah.
showed the coach from Cliff that he might not play a whole lot. Fair. I'm playing Robbie, expecting to get 0 and hoping to get 15. And one
Yeah.
other thing
Anytime.
I forgot: Patrick Peterson revenge game is
Ooh.
revenge in that he sucks, and DeAndre Hopkins is going to light him up.
Yeah, I think you nailed it though. TD at $4,000, like you have to know that a 0 is well within your range of outcomes, and especially at least when you do it, you want to do it with a guy who's going to get unexpected volume, like maybe Braxton Berrios can get there on volume. or you want to do it with a guy like Robbie who can get there on one catch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why I'm okay with it, and or Van Jefferson for that matter. You
Yeah.
know,
Is this your favorite game of the week? 39 total
no,
Titans
no,
at
no, no.
Houston. Where's the dome boner for this one? You have Malik Willis, I think, is like relatively in play. I'm not super excited about it. In this game environment, Derrick Henry, likewise, Damian Pierce always projects. Damian Pierce is just going to be like 6 to 6,500 every week. He's going to be 15%, and he's going to project well. And nobody wants to believe it, because the Texans aren't going to have good projected points. Brandon Cook's still in play. I'm like kind of scared. Like, are they going to showcase Brandon Cooks? Like, there's a lot of smoke for this fire about a possible Brandon Cooks trade. So I'm scared to click it, but everyone is. Chris Moore is in play. Phil Dorsett, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So Chris Moore is definitely one of the answers to the test. Is he 34 or is he 32? It doesn't
34,
matter.
Dorsett's 32.
Yeah. Chris Moore, I like Chris Moore. They already got him involved as Nico went down last week. And I think that for whatever reason, he has kind of a connection with Davis Mills. And I don't know. I like him. He's a cheap guy. He might get me 0. I don't care. Derrick Henry, I mentioned this yesterday and you poo-pooed me, but now I have a microphone, so I'll say my piece. I'm just going to give Derrick Henry 100 yards and a touchdown. And at 8,400, I'm just going to say that try and beat me. Because Malik, the problem is in the goal line area, now you have a quarterback that may run it in when Derrick Henry doesn't catch passes, even though he catches a couple.
Mm-hmm.
He needs that 3 touchdown game to pay off the big ticket. And if Malik steals a touchdown or something like that, so to me, the Malik ad at Derrick Henry's ownership equals I can't play Derrick Henry now. And I don't know if I was going to play Derrick Henry already, but it confirmed that I can't play Derrick Henry. And there's the age-old adage in DFS, and this is probably why the cabal hates Derrick Henry, is when Derrick Henry's chalk, he doesn't put up numbers. Like, I don't know why it works that way or whatever, but you play Derrick Henry at 5% in a bad matchup, and that's when you play Derrick Henry.
Yeah, obviously, like there's one of the most popular stats this week is like the stat lines that Derrick Henry's had against Houston, and like fair enough. I'm just not going to play Derrick Henry at chalk when you have like this is like the strongest. I feel like, by the way, I feel like I've said this every week that we've spoken on stream. Like this is the strongest running back week I can remember, and I don't know if that's like a paradigm shift in the NFL.
Exactly. No,
but it really is a really strong running back week. So I'm not excited to play Derrick Henry at 15 to 20%. Exactly. Like Damian Pierce. I think Pierce is going to fall below Kamara, Walker, Pollard tier. So like I like Damian Pierce. Like people don't want to believe that Damian Pierce has like legitimately one of the best roles in the NFL.
He had 90% of the snaps.
And he catches
starting to hog the ball.
Second down.
And then I'm never going to miss an opportunity to put my hand in the dirt for just 1 second. Lovie Smith runs a cover 2 defense, and when you make your team one-dimensional, like putting Malik Willis at quarterback with receivers Robert Woods and NWI, the whole key to gashing a cover 2 and gashing Lovie with the run game is having some sort of a threat. Now Lovie's not going to do that, and sure, Derrick Henry could still beat him. I'm just giving him 100 yards and a touchdown. Yeah. I'm just saying he isn't going to go nuclear for the 203.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting take. I think Malik Willis is obviously, very natural runner. He's going to run. They're going to have design runs. You probably like that more against man than, zone where, your linebackers and safeties are facing, the quarterback and as they're playing zone instead of playing their mans and, DB. So I think that's a very interesting thing that, probably not getting on other shows. It may be useless, but, makes us pretend that we sound smart. One of the last good games, possibly. Giants at Seattle, 44.5 total.
It's not my second favorite game.
It's not? Is it your first favorite?
No.
And by the way, TD mentioned Texans defense. Like, we should talk about defense very, very quickly. There's no consensus super chalk, so you can kind of play whoever you want, I think, at defense. Just like whatever works.
I'm only playing the Bears or the Jets. Hello?
Yeah, this is where a lot of my builds are. Danny Dimes, I think, is in play. Saquon, is that pay up and has a ridiculous role. Wandale, Slayton at 4,600. I wish if Slayton was 3K, I'd be playing him on every single team. 4,600, tough. Kenneth Walker, obviously, still in play. No one else on Seattle now that everyone is back. But it's a late game, so it'd be crazy if wouldn't surprise me if Tyler Lockett is out and DK Metcalf is in, or something like that, and that kind of flips the whole thing. So keep an eye out, keep options open late, in my opinion, if you can.
Yeah, I love stacking dimes specifically with Saquon +1, and the +1 is only Wandale or Darius Slayton.
Yeah.
Or doing skinny, like dimes and Barkley skinny is fun, I think. Just because you're basically taking 2 running back type things, or when he throws, he's going to dump to Barkley. And then Seattle side, I really like Walker, but his price has gone up now, and Homer got activated, and now this, Lockett and Metcalf are supposed to play on a on a week like this where running back is just so flush with people. I'm not getting there. Plus, I hate to toot your horn, but I have a lot of respect for the Giants defense, especially with the Geno quarterback team. I'm not going to play the Walker end or the Geno end of this deal. I wanted to play D. Eskridge. I wanted to look up whoever that activated guy at 3K was, but Metcalf and Lockett ends all that. And Fant, I'm still going to play Fant just because his role keeps increasing. His price doesn't increase, and he still hasn't fallen into the end zone. And TD, if you play Disley, just give a little bit more to charity than you normally play, because he's 3,200.
I can get you a list of charities or losing DFS players that could use your deposits. I get it. But it's not showdown. I don't know. You just, tight end is so gross. I understand what you're going for. You want to play someone off the board, but that can just fall into the end zone. But I think there has to be something we could find that's better. I'd rather play Schultz at 12% than Disley at 1% or something. It's just if Lockett and Metcalf are out, maybe, but I don't know. It's a little too thin. Yeah. I'm building, I probably already have it. 2 of my 3 teams that I built so far are Dime, Saquon, Wandale with Kenny Walker. Because it gets you some kind of leverage, so to speak, versus Ellinger. And also it's a 4:00 game. So depending on how you do in the morning or the 1 o'clock, you can, have options to swap around. You can go from Dimes and Saquon, or you could start with Ellinger and go to, Dimes, Saquon and get into this game. But I think that's a good game. That is in the middle, right? We have 3 dome games that are at 49 or higher. You have all the crap that's at 39 to 42, and then you have Seattle and the Giants at 45. So that's an interesting one where there should be some offense there. Probably because Seattle doesn't have a great defense. Really, is going to probably drive both teams to score.
Yeah, Logan Thomas is in, by the way. If that changes,
is he?
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah. Let's go quick on this game so we can get to my second favorite game of the week.
Oh, I thought this would be it. 39.5 total. The football team is at Indianapolis in the Dome. Sam Ellinger, I think. I'm super excited to play Ellinger and then just have my opponents not play him. I think depends on your field. I'm not playing the Thunderdome, obviously, but in a Thunderdome type contest, which I doubt anyone listening cares or is playing it. But he's going to be 40% owned in those types of things, or in the 200 man, 100 man, high dollar. So think about that, as you're building in your contest. I think sharp people are he's an easy guy to be over the field for a sharp guy. Ellinger with JT, Ellinger with even Pittman, Alec Pierce and Paris Campbell are cheap. They're not super cheap, but they're cheap enough that it works. I'm mostly going to play it naked, not bring anyone back.
Yeah, my plan with Ellinger is to play him with JT or to play him with Granson. I don't like playing him with Pittman, Campbell, Pierce, just because, number one, with Pittman has a bigger tag to pay off, and that equals more. I don't like that. The other ones, even though their tag is lower, those are going to be the guys that people get cute and play him with. if they do. So I like him a lot with JT or with Granson. And Granson is just like, okay, yeah, they played high school together. They've seen each other's wieners over many years, and I think that's an advantage. But also this week at tight end, like you got to be just willing to get a 0 because it's well within the range of outcomes with any of
Even if you're
those
not willing to
3K
get a
and
zero,
below
you might
tight
end up with
ends.
one anyway.
So who knows? And then, on the other side of the game, that I think this is very interesting / I don't care. F1 reestablished his relationship with Heineke last week, and
Yeah.
I'm interested to see, mostly from a best ball perspective, like if that continues. Like his cherry backpack, or we saw Samuel with those bad drops and stuff for the last 2 weeks, and I don't know. I'm interested. I'm not playing him, but I'm interested.
I think in like a large field, you should be more willing to stack this game up, like pick a
Yeah,
receiver or even JT and like run it back with Samuel or McLaurin, or like
yeah,
you don't have to run it back, obviously.
for sure.
Ellinger, do you think you can win a tournament with Ellinger getting 16 points?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I
So
think you can forex that only because
yeah,
of the access that it gives you.
yeah, and
It
you're just
gives you
waiting for
access
it
to
to.
more of those guys that can put up 40.
Yeah. Yep. No, I agree. So if you think you can win with Ellinger getting 16, then you don't have to sack it. But I do think that there's good leverage to like pick a receiver. None of them project well, but like you hope you like if
Yeah.
Ellinger gets you like 25, he's like an absolute must.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the not stacking it part, the difficulty there isn't getting those 16 points. It's getting the right nuke pieces around
Yeah,
him, like we talk about. It makes your path to first place more difficult.
I agree.
But when that path is fun, like getting 9K running backs and receivers,
Yeah.
then people are a little bit more willing to do it.
Yep. And
This
then
is my second favorite game of the week. Let's talk about it.
yeah, 41 and a half total, surprisingly low. As everyone is getting wise to Matt Stafford not being great. In the year 2022, Jimmy G, no one is excited, but this is going to be that late 4 o'clock hammer. There's a lot of good individual plays on this game with two pretty good defenses, or should be good defenses. So that is obviously depressing the total and the ownership. So no one projects super well on paper, but there's a lot of really good plays. I don't know. Are you stacking this game?
Yeah. In my 5 max, my main tournament is the 5 max. I'm going to play a Jimmy G stack, and I'm going to play a Matthew Stafford stack. And my explanation for this is I think that this game has the best chance of any game to blow its total out of the water. I think this game can turn into a track meet. I think that Sean McVay, fake sharp Sean McVay with his off week, dude, he got humiliated. Like they got. What's that?
I said, is LA a dome? They have no reason to be, but maybe they are.
They are a partial dome. They're indoors, but they're open air. Yeah.
Okay.
But fake sharp Sean McVay got humiliated by San Francisco the last time they played. Now he has a bye week. They're sorting out whatever the personal beef is with Cam Akers.
He's not going to play.
Right. No, I'm saying that just from a team dynamic, like he's not there. That's sorted. He's out. Matthew Stafford is not going to be this bad every single week for the rest of his career if he can put it together one time. Like, just the ownership makes it work. I just think that this could be a week. I love putting Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Brandon Ayuk on the other end. I love doing Jimmy G with CMC with Ayuk, with Kupp coming back. Like, you can build crazy stuff, and it's expensive. You do need to use a guy like Chris Moore or a guy like Braxton Berrios, like those players. Yeah, or I'll use Van Jefferson for some of them. Yep.
Yeah.
Most of the ownership seems to be condensing on the tight ends, the Higbees or the Kittles, and I love that because those are not the game script that I see. I think everybody. I want to like Kittle, but at the ownership, I'm just telling myself a story that with Debo out, like, dude, CMC is San Francisco's version of Debo now.
Yeah.
So, and Ayuk has been coming on, and the other thing you mentioned is the Rams defense is very good. Kittle is the best blocking tight end in football. It could take away from a little bit of that because now they have CMC. Now they have, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think it's a fun and interesting game coming out of the bye. I think that
Yeah.
there's a chance that it goes over its total, and I'll be there. I mean, who doesn't want to play CMC on a week that nobody's playing CMC?
Oh yeah, I think CMC and Kittle are going to be guys that as you go up in stakes, their ownership is going to double.
Yeah.
Which if you're not playing those, then I think they're very, very clearly sharp plays. I think Ayuk is very clearly a sharp play too, like leverage off of Olave, not leverage, like price leverage off of Olave, and like in a good spot. I'm not I don't know that I'm convinced that it shoots out and then I want to like super stack it, but I like little minis. Like I have, Cup Kittle or Cup CMC, which actually is really tough to build because they're super expensive. But like,
yeah,
Cup at 9,600 and Justin Jefferson at 91, and Cup is half owned. Like, I'm just ignoring. Like, you gotta these guys, Kittle, but mostly CMC and Cup. Just like matchup literally doesn't matter. These guys are the two best players in the league. You just play them; it doesn't matter. So you can play them together, play them alone. I'm all over this game. More individual.
And when I say shoot out, I'm just talking about it getting to the 50 level.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about a few years ago, 80-point game or whatever. Yeah. I just think fake sharp Sean McVay has an extra week after being humiliated. If they're ever going to have a chance to get Matthew Stafford going a little bit, it's this week. And now CMC has had another week with his playbook. Debo out. I just like it, man.
What are the 4 o'clock? All right, so we have 4 o'clock games. Yeah. So
and there you go. You can pivot so easily.
Yeah, so you can pivot around. You can pivot around. Like I think I'm going to start a lot of my teams with Ellinger or Danny Dimes. So you can flip back and forth. But one thing to like possibly keep in mind, and you're going to cringe at this, but Ronnie Rivers is getting a lot of like fantasy steam of like he might start over Darrell Henderson, which I don't know.
I don't know who that is, and I don't care.
He's well, you might care because at 2:30 you're going to find out that Ronnie Rivers is going to be starting for the Rams at 4K. So keep the light on, like keep your flex open if you can, and have yourself like outs to play like the 4K running back. Possibly it may open up. I think you need to be aware of it. He's not good. I don't know who he is, but it may or may not open up, and that's like a thing you should be aware of, I think, as you're building lineups.
I'm going to insert the bugs.gif. No.
Yeah. No. All right. I think we might have like sort of buried the lead there with like your fuck around and find out.
Yeah, fuck around and find out for me this week is very, very simple and very, very expensive. It's CMC. It's DeAndre Hopkins. Those two players are going to smash the slate. You're going to want to play those two players. And, fade of the week, easy with ownership again. Just considering ownership, but it's so easy to fade Tony Pollard at 50% plus in your single entry, your 3 max, your 5 max. Just fade him. If you want to get real cute, play the Bears defense. But, yeah, fuck around and find out, yo. What do you got?
I've got Danny Dimes with Saquon, with Wandale, with Kenneth Walker. I'm giving you the full kit and caboodle.
Ooh, the fuck around and find out full stack.
Yeah, full stack this game.
Okay. I have that exact thing built.
I think Kenneth Walker's real deal, man. And I'm actually hoping, I do too. I'm hoping like one of these guys randomly gets ruled out and like people are just not ready for it. That's like my go-to. And I also actually like this game as well. Like the Cup and CMC, super tough to do. Van Jefferson makes it work. Yeah.
Yep.
Sweet. Well, thanks guys for stopping by. You got any questions, you know where to find me. Or if you don't, well, find me next week. I'll be right here. Thanks for coming around. See ya.
See you guys.